So I am also super excited about Drupal Camp Colorado. I guess maybe everybody needs to start their session like that. So Drupal Camp Colorado, man, that's a nicer photo on my computer. Next slide. We're in Colorado, right? I mean, I think that this is a wonderful thing. Beautiful Telluride, Colorado. And thanks, everybody for coming out from other parts of the U.S. So I wanted to do a bit of raising hands and figuring out who we are and get a sense of who are the folks that we've got in this room. So how many of you were at the camp last year? As Ben said, it's about half of you. Looks like a little bit less than half the room, so that's nice to see a lot of folks back again. How many of you traveled from outside Denver to make it to this? Wow. More than half the room. That's exciting. How about from outside Colorado? Nearly half the room. I mean, that's huge. Does anybody want to try to claim furthest? Minnesota?
Sam is here from Sydney.
Sydney. Minnesota got some. Alrighty, so how many folks here are male? Maybe more than half. How about female folks? Yeah, that looks good. So Drupal chicks, right? Yes. I wanted to try to talk a little bit during this opening session about what's happened in the state of Colorado and in the Drupal community at large in the past year. And technically, Drupal Chicks was a little bit before the camp last year, but I think it's worth talking about. There's this great feeling in the Drupal community that we should really be promoting, use of Drupal by women and use of technology by women, because women are not always welcome in technology communities. There's a lot of situations that have been in the media recently where there have been some tough situations in conferences, and so I think that it's nice that the Drupal community makes sure that everybody feels comfortable at our events. There's also the chance of a Drupal Chicks BOF today. There's the BOF room, and so I hope that women will get together and talk about what we can do to continue that nice feeling of inclusion in the Drupal community. Alrighty, so how many of you either hired or got hired to do Drupal work full-time in the past year? That's a lot of people, right? So we've got our list of wonderful sponsors. The camp is about 50% sponsors, 50% attendee fees, so the sponsors are really important to making this happen at such an accessible fee. But if we look at these sponsors and we break it down to just the Colorado folks, Colorado mostly, right? So that's a lot of sponsors, and it's interesting to see there's a lot of national sponsors who are really helping us out. But then talking about hiring, let's talk about which of these companies hired people within the last year to work on Drupal. That's exciting, right? Maybe I didn't catch everybody, but I think that as we see the economic slowdown, it's exciting to see that there's still economic growth within the Drupal community, and there's still some vibrancy here. We also had some exciting news for some Drupal companies here in Colorado. This is the new Ping Vision office, kind of as they were moving in, and it looks even better now, but it's a beautiful space, and they're hosting the Boulder meetups there. Really, really great space, so that's an exciting thing for them. And here's the new Growing Mentor Solutions office we just moved into a couple weeks ago, and happens to be right next to Susan Snipes, who's downstairs from us in the Bolt Factory. All right, so how many of you attended a meetup in the last year? Yes, lots of folks. So the Denver Boulder user group meetings continue. That's nothing new from last year, but I think it's exciting that they're very sustainable and they continue going strong. Very exciting presentations. If you've been to one, which most of you have, you know that they're great. And this is exciting to me because last summer at Drupal Camp Colorado, we had a whole bunch of people come up from Colorado Springs, and they were like, wow, why did we just drive an hour and a half to see each other when we live 15 minutes away? So the very next month, a couple days later, they started up the Southern Colorado user group, and they've been having monthly meetings ever since, also very high quality sessions. So if you've been driving up to the Denver sessions, you don't need to do that anymore. how many of you were involved in a sprint or a bird of a feather in Colorado over the past year? Pretty decent numbers. So sprints are, we have a couple different kinds of meetings. We have the meetups, which happen on about a monthly basis in Denver, Boulder, and Colorado Springs. We have these Drupal camps, which so far happen about once a year, and as you can see, are kind of the largest event that we have. And then we have these sprints and birds of a feather gatherings that are a little bit more focused on specific topics. Transition, and it's too dark. There was the Denver Open Media Sprint. I'm going to go from memory on this, but they worked on a lot of different modules, made new releases of the M-Field module, worked on JavaScript so that the UI of the media module is much better. Druish worked a lot on the station module and on file handling and core for Drupal 7, which is very exciting. And they produced surprisingly little media. So the only photo that I had was that really dark one of Tony. The library's buff, right? These folks know how to do archiving. So this was a meetup of about 25 people. We have kind of an interesting thing going on with libraries in Colorado. I think Douglas County Library was the first one to really use Drupal. We now have also the Arapahoe Library, Denver Public Library, Rangeview Library, I think, State of Colorado, UCAR Library, Boulder Library. Any other libraries want to claim that they're using Drupal? Pikes Peak! Oh my gosh, how did I forget you? Pikes Peak, anybody else? That's a lot of libraries using Drupal. I mean, I think it's a great system. Librarians, they spend semesters studying taxonomy in college, so they know all about what Drupal is about. Another exciting thing that happened since last summer is the Pound Drupal Colorado IRC channel. So how many people have been to Pound Drupal Colorado? Less than half the room. So this is IRC, if you don't know, is a way for chatting with each other through, it's like instant messaging, but it's a group instant message that anybody can join. The channel is hosted on irc.freenode.net, and if you're interested in figuring out how to make that actually work on your computer, drupal.org/IRC has all the details about how you can download a client for your computer and connect to IRC. It's a great way to get kind of less formal interaction on a day-to-day basis outside of the meetups with some folks that you might know from the meetups, and a great way to get support from people that you've met locally if you're feeling intimidated by the Drupal support channel or some of the bigger IRC rooms. It's really not that geeky, I promise. So for the camp, perhaps it's a little hard for folks to see in the back of the room, but we have 4 specific back channels that are available for each of the rooms. So as the sessions are going on today and tomorrow, you can use those sessions through IRC to discuss the presentation while it's happening, or perhaps ask questions that the presenter can then pull up while they're doing their session. So there's kind of this talk about the best Drupal camp Colorado ever, right? And I think that depending upon your measure, we're already there being 15 minutes into it today. We have a ton more sessions than last year, more attendees, obviously, and as we saw, a lot more folks from around the world and around the US who have come here. We have more sponsors, and we have more events than last year. There's the after party at the Hotel VQ. It's that big round thing. If you have questions about it, ask Carl. Hi, Carl. We have more monkey pants this year? No? Okay. More birds of a feather this year than last year. Hopefully, we didn't have that many last year, so I'm really hoping that people will get together for those. Lots more volunteers helping out to take care of all the little details that are required to get a camp going. And of course, lots more amazing attendees. Speaking of amazing attendees, Drupal Camp Colorado over the years, so just kind of a sense of what's happened over the years. That's pretty amazing growth, and I think that I think it's really awesome that we've seen that growth. As Laura mentioned, Ping Vision has played a big role in all of these. The first 2 were really put together by Ping Vision folks, and then we've expanded and grown and made it a wonderful community organized event based on some of that initial work that Ping Vision did. Approximately 200 people. I mean, that's pretty crazy, and a lot more signed up last night and this morning, so it's very exciting. I don't know what the final number is. But it's going to be the best Drupal Camp Colorado ever because it's a duocracy, and everybody here has lots of great ideas about how to make the camp itself better. The concept of duocracy is that you see something missing at the camp that you want to make better, you just offer to do it, and then you're in charge of it.